culture consciousness and movement building MILPA. Cultivated change makers, yeah, we're that squad.
What's up, y'all? ¿Qué hubo, gente? ¿Cómo están? Another week is gone. Actually, another episode is gone, right? But we're here once again, the MILPA show. I'm here with Kaylin Figueroa. Everybody give her a round of applause, you know what I'm saying? Hey! My name is Bernie Gomez, right? Otra vez, just honored to be here, present, at the MILPA show where we disseminate news on culture, consciousness, and movement building. Today, I'm honored to have a strong colleague here with us, right? I don't think he needs an introduction. Y'all probably seen him one too many times on this show already. Pero, again, it's an honor and privilege to be able to highlight your story, you know what I'm saying? Highlight you as an individual, as a strong man, as an advocate, right? As a family man, all that, as a brother, But we have Alexis Magdaleno, the lead Prop 47 specialist here at MILPA. So, kick it off like that, right? As customary, we want to kind of break that ice, get everybody a little comfortable. So I'm gonna start it off like this, right? What's one thing that brings you energy and joy?
Right now, what up, everybody? Buenas tardes, buenos dias, wherever you find yourself, checking this podcast out. My name is Alexis Magdaleno, like Bernie said. Something that's bringing me joy right now is my nieces, my nephews, the next generation of little ones. I have a niece named Sophia, another one Natalie, and my nephew RJ, and they're always wanting to play with me, so I'm really, I get really stoked, that they always look for me, and hey, Tio Alexis, come play with me. So I'm ready to take that next step, ready to bring in a little one. And that's what's bringing me joy right now is that next generation. That's what we have. That's what we've been praying for. Me and my lady is another a little one to bless up, to extend our family, and so that's what we have coming waiting for us. And I'm excited for that. It's a new stage of my life, and it's a lot of work already. It hasn't came yet, but it's a lot of work already.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Alexis. Looking forward to that, new venture and all that brings in. Bendiciones to you and Vanessa. Something that brings me, happiness and joy and energy. Definitely, energy is probably coffee. I've been drinking hella coffee lately. And then joy, just everyone, like the crew. It's been hella cool, just like getting to know everyone and then just chilling and then making those relationships. So yeah, that brings me energy and joy.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. Right, coffee and the little pastry on the side, that's what brings me joy. So coffee, energy, and my joy is my sweets, right? It's just, early morning shot, it's good, you know what I'm saying? But what better way to start your morning, So, pero con eso, well, let's kick it off.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Yeah, well, I'm currently about to turn 28. My birthday is in November. It's an exciting time for me to be alive, It's definitely an interesting time to be alive in the world. There's all kinds of nonsense and craziness going on. But, my family comes from Guanajuato. We come from Chupicuaro, Acambaro. That's where I was born, and hopefully that's where I can be laid to rest, when I get old, But we came over here when I was 5. Moved to Chicago, and then eventually we came back to Soledad, which is where I grew up. My family came over here because of the Bracero program. Originally, they came to work in the fields. My grandpa, Papa Castro, was all up and down the Central Valley, the Central Coast, working in the peach and the lechuga, wherever he found himself, he's just looking for work, and then they would go back, and eventually, after a while, everybody just kind of settled here. So, even though I was born over there, we all kind of had to migrate up here just to be with the rest of the family. And I've been very blessed, to grow up here and but also get to experience like Mexico. I got to go to kinder. I got to go to kinder twice. I was real excited because my brother was going to school. My brother Raul, he was going to kinder, and and I didn't want to be alone. So Mexico is a little bit different. You could just sign up if you got like the feria, and so they put me in kinder, but it wasn't like it didn't count for anything, and then my brother was in school and I was in school, and then I had to do kinder again, and then when I moved to Chicago, they made me do kinder again. So I had to do kinder 3 times, but that's why I'm hella smart. No, but on the real, like I did go to school 3 times. I came over here and I had to learn English. I don't remember learning English. It was definitely an experience that I don't remember. For whatever reason, it was just like a real smooth transition. I think they had, there's a lot of Mexicanos or a lot of Latinos over there, Raza in Chicago, so they had already teachers that were, speaking English and Spanish, so the transition was smooth. And then eventually we made it back home over here, grew up in Soledad, and just different parts, bounced around for a little bit, and eventually made myself to my parents bought a home. My dad was he's still a mechanic, and my mom she was working at Order Express, and I had a little sister. She was a lot younger than me. She was born 2001, and so growing up, me and my brother kind of had to take care of ourselves. We couldn't have the luxury of like having a babysitter. But my sister, she had a little bit more, that luxury. We were a little bit more well off by the time that she was growing up. But for a long time, we just kind of grew up just kind of raising ourselves, just kind of doing things learning things on ourselves, and eventually made it through high school. Had a lot of friends, had a lot of people I knew in the community in high school. That's where I met my lady, my wife, Vanessa, and eventually graduated, fortunately, and went off to community college and into university to UC Berkeley, and came back home. That's where I found MILPA, and I've been here since then.
Damn, Alexis, not many people can say they went to kindergarten 3 times. That's all I'll say. What's your favorite thing about Soledad?
I'm not sure, but it's like an extension of home, because everybody there, or at least a lot of folks there, are from my pueblo in Mexico. And so when I got here, people already knew my family. I had my grandma here. I had different folks here that pues ya nos conocían. It wasn't like too far different from what home was. So that's always been the biggest blessing. When I go back home, like la gente ya me conoce, and it's cool,
I have to ask. I just have to ask. Kindergarten, right? I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was like? Tell us a little bit about school out there then.
In Mexico?
Yeah, like the difference between taking, because it's like that's just it's gotta be, you gotta be able to make that distinction, obviously, But I want to hear. I've never heard about schools out there. I know it's kindergarten, but todavía, just the estilo. We all know what it is, what school is like over here, especially for young brown kids. You know what I'm saying? So just what was the difference then?
I'm not quite sure, like to how the teaching was, but I do remember the things that we would do. Like we would do the desfiles, right? Go out and like dress like the revolutionaries, and we do like little plays, and take pride in like the Mexican Independence Day. So there was a lot of things that like was very cultural, like it was implemented in you, and like there was like things that we would learn in school were about like just our culture, our heritage, and it was fun. It was like it wasn't like all like, oh, we need to do tests and we need to do this. It was just like people learning. It was it was a lot different for sure.
What do you think we should implement from over there to over here?
¿Sabes qué? I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and like trip out, but definitely because they would have like pretty much like assemblies, but like they would just be fun. It'd just be a good time. It wasn't like we had to have like a very strict like reason to gather. It was just like we just gather for fun.
Yeah, right. I know you mentioned Berkeley, right? You tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Berkeley was an interesting place. Definitely like one of the more competitive schools to get into. I don't know how the hell I got in, but I did it, and I was very fortunate. Like my lady backed me up, and she supported me throughout the whole journey. Even though I made a lot of mistakes, it was like You know, coming from a small town like to this big old city, like I had no idea what I was doing. I had no friends out there, just kind of like I'm on my own, and so I had to kind of figure it out. But it was definitely a challenging experience. Probably one of the most challenging things in my life. You know, because you're on your own. You gotta find your own place. I was at a point where like I didn't know how to take care of a home. You know, you transition from like living at home with parents, and then you transition to like living on your own. You know, so it was like, oh damn, like, you know, there's things that need to get done. And I didn't quite necessarily know how to do that. I didn't know about financing. I had a little bit of money, but not enough to like sustain myself. And then just like, I think the first day that I got to, one of my first classes at UC Berkeley was like a sociology class. And this lady was like way out there. The professor, she was like this PhD, like German lady. Like, I didn't understand nothing. She had a microphone. The class was like 500 students.
Damn.
I was like, damn, like I don't know what the hell I got myself into. I was failing. I had like a C, and yeah, it was bad. But eventually, like I made good relations there, and you know, started getting a little bit of support. And then I also switched from political science to social work, to social welfare. But political science was like not what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like, we're gonna learn about politics and we're gonna learn how to make political change. But it was quite the contrary. It was like how people vote, how Latinos vote, how this population votes, and it was just like not what I was. It wasn't. Yeah, it was weird.
What was one of the main things that you thought you knew how to do, or like that you were like all grown up and stuff, but then you got to Berkeley and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Everything. Everything. No, it's really hard, you know, because you're on your own. You're trying to figure it out and like try to make it happen, but like at the same time, it's like, damn, like, you know, at that point in my life, I didn't know how to ask for help. You know, I didn't know how to say like, oh, I'm not, or I didn't have nobody telling me like, oh, this is you're not doing things right. You should do it this way, or, you know, providing any type of correction. You know, when you leave home, people assume like, oh, everything's perfect, everything's cool, like you got it figured out because, you know, you're going to this big university. But the reality is like a lot of folks don't have it figured out. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, everything's cool, like it's, you know, I'm studying, and I'm like, no, I'm not studying. You know, so it was definitely a challenge. A lot of lessons learned.
Yeah. Do you think, you know, being Berkeley, right, very diverse, you know, it's almost like the freaking public Ivy school, you know, it's like type of, you know, so do you think coming from Soledad, right, coming from Monterey County, you know, migrating from Mexico, right, what was your feelings then, you know, like were you like, you know, I made it, I'm in school, you know, I'm in Berkeley, or was it more like what am I doing here, right? You know, it's like
a little bit of both, probably. I think when I got there, I was like, man, like I had no idea what's going on. Like, it's a huge campus. There's all kinds of like just things you're not used to seeing at a community college. You see like people doing acapella on the corner. There was a dude that would always, every time we would pass by like the university, the big hall and stuff, there would be like a dude that always offered like Bible study. It was just like all kinds of, there was a dude that was always there with like a Jesus saves lives, or kids have a kid, just all kinds of different characters there that I was like, man, like this is like way out of my league. You know, there was folks there that really knew, like that really had the academic language that like I was like, oh damn, like, you know, I didn't know it at the time, but I'm dyslexic, so I have a really hard time reading. I have a really hard time writing, so I didn't know how to ask for the help to like, or even identify that was a thing for me. So it was just kind of like a difficult thing to navigate. But then after a while, you know, I got involved, and I think something that was really cool about Berkeley was just like seeing the type of political activism that goes on there, and just seeing folks involved, and it's really powerful. We got to, I think after Trump won, there was all kinds of folks there that like just showed up and like had big protests, and that was like, for me, that was like huge. I'd never seen anything like that. I was like, man, this is cool. This is what the movement's about. But I had no idea what I was doing. You know, it was just a bunch of yelling, and for me, it didn't necessarily go anywhere, but it felt good.
What was one of your favorite things to do in Berkeley?
Probably not the healthiest things. They call happy hour, but no, it really wasn't. You know, it was like that's what I thought was fun at the time, but it wasn't like probably what I should have been doing. But yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. I think the atmosphere of just like being able to go out and like go to different classes and like poke your head into different courses just to see like, oh damn, like ahora que están hablando aquí, you know, that was fun too.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I think one of the things that you mentioned was like that you went into community college. What was that transition, or why do you feel it was important for you to go to community college and then transfer out?
Oh, I always like to say I barely graduated high school, but I didn't. Like I made by, but it was like definitely like not a thing that I had in my vision of like being able to apply to university. I didn't even know like I could apply. I just it was like way out of my league. I was like, I think junior year is when I like started to like really like, okay, like I'm gonna take school a little bit more serious, catch up on credits. Like I had to go stay after school, so but transitioning from community college was definitely super important for me, because I don't think I would have been able to like go to a university like that without, you know, going to community college first.
What community college did you go to?
Right here, Salinas, Hartnell College, the Panthers, I think they're called, yeah.
Panthers.
The Panthers.
You know, did you go to school to get involved in the movement, or did the school spark that interest, or was just school a whole different, you were just kind of running with it?
I think it was a little bit of both, right? Because in high school I was like, man, like I was seeing a lot of my friends get pushed out of school. I was seeing a lot of my friends get incarcerated or be put on probation in school. So for me, it was like, man, like I have a voice, I could say something about it. And that's when I started like saying like, oh, like, you know, we need to, because we used to have a rule, you can't wear white t-shirts in school, in high school, because apparently it was gang related. But it was like a white t-shirt, you know, if you're broke, like you get clothes once a year, you know, then you're gonna do what you can with that money, you know. It's like a 3-pack of white tees for $20 or something, so you make it work. But that wasn't like something that they let us do, so I started raising concerns and I started saying like, oh, we need to do this and we need to change this. But the school didn't really care, so like when I graduated, I'm like, I want to continue making change, and I can't do that here, or at least not with the skills that I have. So going to community college, I was learning about movements or change or society, I guess. But I still didn't have a good understanding of like what is the movement. Like I didn't really. My concern was more with individuals doing individual work. I didn't really see the movement as something that was accessible to me. I didn't really have that connection quite yet. So once I got to Berkeley, I saw different types of movement. You know, from everything from policy to, you know, local advocacy, and that really kind of that university really politicized me. That's where I was like, oh, okay, I got to learn about the banana wars in Guatemala, the things that happened in El Salvador, in Chile, and Cuba, and I was like, man, like this is crazy. But that was like way too far for me to have an impact on. You know, those are different countries, different places, and so when I came back home, I found MILPA, and I was like, man, like this is where it's at.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with MILPA then? Did you just like find them out of nowhere?
No, yes and no. So when I was in UC Berkeley, I was involved with a group called Underground Scholars, and they had community college programs for formerly incarcerated students to get involved so that they can go to university. And so for me, like when I hear resources, like I like to share them with the world, you know. So I'm like, how can I bring this back home to my community or to Salinas or Monterey County in general? So right away, boom, me puse a, start tabling out here in Salinas and getting to know the folks out here. And eventually, like I wanted to set up some type of program out here for like that. And that's when people kept saying, oh, have you heard of MILPA? Have you heard of MILPA? And I was like, no, like, and then eventually I met some of the folks, and that's how I came to find MILPA.
what made you? I guess after you found MILPA or started, seeing MILPA, right? I guess how was it that you got pulled into MILPA? You know what I'm saying? Like, you had your vision, right, of what you wanted to do, and then you connected with folks. But what exactly is it? When was that moment where you were like, you know what, I want to be a part of it? Or was it offered to you? Or like, kind of just, we all have a little MILPA origin story, so kind of want to share that with us.
Yeah, no, it was a trippy experience. Definitely one that's like very unique to me, because I came back home after I graduated and I was like, man, like, what can I apply for jobs? I was looking for a job at the time, so I came back home. I come to the office right here, and I had already kind of known some of the folks, and I'm like, hey, like, what kind of job opportunities or what kind of orgs y'all recommend out here? And they're like, well, just come through and intern with us and see if you like it. Like, all right, cool. And so I started interning with the folks here at MILPA, and they were telling me about this opportunity that was coming up to do work in South County, where I'm from, to help people get their record dismissed, and so I was like, man, like that's cool, like that's my community. I get to do some type of service, like that's kind of what I studied for. I'm working with folks that I already kind of know, and then so that door was opening, but at the same time I was already applying. I had already been applying to other jobs, and I had gotten a job offer from the county of Monterey to be a social worker. And that, they pay good. They got benefits. They got retirement plans. They got health insurance, and they got all the bells and whistles of employment. And they showed me the steps of, in 2 years you're gonna be getting paid this. In 3 years you're gonna get. I was like, man, like this place is cool. But I had already been interning with MILPA for quite some time by the time that they offered me the job, and originally I came to MILPA for the advocacy work. But then I stayed because of the cultural, the conscious work. Because for me, there was always that opportunity, especially in university, to learn about like history, indigenous culture, but it's always through a book, and that's not. I didn't like reading, right? But so it wasn't like I didn't connect with that. I didn't gravitate towards like taking ethnic studies or Chicano studies, and so when I got here, I was already involved with talking circles. I was already involved with Joven Noble. They were exposing me to different conversations that really were intriguing my mind at a point where like I needed it the most, right? I just came home from this crazy ass university. I got burned out. I came back home, and I'm like, man, like this is like so refreshing, because it offered some type of a sense of direction, a sense of guidance, a sense of values that I didn't necessarily have before. I didn't implement them in the way that I do now, right? And so I had gotten that job offer, and I was like, you know what, I got a couple questions for these folks, like that they interviewed me, and I was like, what do you guys do for self-care? And I'm like, oh, well, we offer people vacation days. We encourage people to take care of themselves, go to the movies, this and that. And no offense to the county, right? They're doing their thing, but that was just my experience. And then I asked, like, well, what if I have like some type of ethical dilemma? What if there's a situation where my position as a social worker, I have to put somebody in child protective custody, or if I have to put somebody on probation or in the juvenile justice system, and like, well, we have our ethical values and this and that, but that's not, it's, you're working for a company, you have to follow the rules, right? And then I asked, what kind of development, what kind of leadership development, and they had their trainings, right? But at that point, I was already receiving like this indigenous knowledge that I've never ever heard in my life before. That just like really that I needed. I needed to make me feel good, and make me understand, give me a sense of identity and a sense of direction of where I wanted to take my advocacy work. Because obviously, MILPA, we're doing really good work. We're doing advocacy at the city, at the county level, at the school board level, and that. When I came into MILPA, I think the second month, is when the whole SRO campaign happened right here in Salinas in 2017. And we won, you know, we got them out of, we prevented them from getting into the school district, into two or three school districts. And man, that really was like, man, like this is community power, this is community led, this is, you know, being led by people who are directly impacted. And then we followed it through with self-care, with cultural collective well-being, you know. And that really, you know, made it a big difference, because of course we could do this advocacy work on our own, but when we come home and we were able to take care of each other like that, that really, like, man, like, you know, there was a spark that told me like I needed to do this for myself, for my work, and for my family, because I knew that there was something special here that I was going to be able to bring back home, you know, that was going to make me a better man, so that when I come home from work, you know, I can treat my family good. And so that's the reason why I decided to stay. It's definitely been a journey, and it's been treating me very well ever since.
That's so cool. I feel like it's always interesting to hear people's like origin stories, or like how they came to MILPA or why they stayed. But especially because like I feel like I would look to everyone for the indigenous teachings, but I feel like you're one of those main ones. I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna go to Alexis if like I had random questions, you know. So it's super cool like you came in like that and you had like those questions también. It's hella interesting to hear, because like you definitely carry that medicine with you, and like donde quiera que vas.
Yeah, right. You know, I'm hearing like MILPA was able to provide you with actualizing your cultural awareness, you know, which is it's super cool, because it's something that we all have in common. I think, you know, that when we come here in this space, we're able to grow from the inside out, you know. And I know you're talking about the healing and your journey, right? But maybe you could just, you know, give us a little bit more in depth, you know, si puedes, si quieres, you know, because I know it's very personal and stuff, you know. But you know, we all go through our own phase of healing. We all have our own understanding of what that is, right? But I think when we start looking into indigenous practices and traditions, right, it's something very different than what we think sometimes that might consist of, right? So how's that journey? Like, where did it start? You know, it's like, you know, you kind of been leading up to it, right? But I think we all have a moment where it's like, okay, it's time to I need to like do this for myself. And you said it already, you're doing it for you, for your family, for your pareja, right? But how's that journey going for you? You know, it's like up until right now and stuff, man.
Oh man, it's been a beautiful journey. It's been definitely been a long journey. I mean, I'm still young, right? But I'm still learning a lot. Definitely still got a lot of work to do, but definitely a lot better place than when I was before I got here. I think one of the main things that it's helped me have a sense of direction is being less individualistic and thinking more about the collective, thinking about more about being less materialistic and thinking more of you know, happiness, compassion, the values that I want to instill in my life, and not the material things that I want to bring home. But I think as soon as I got here, like that was like what we had was community talking circles on Thursdays, and the bro John would rock those circles, and man, you know, John, he's like a breath of knowledge, man. He just always shooting it. He's got a mouthpiece, and he's always just, you know, he has a way of like teaching things. So I'll always be here every Thursday for the talking circle. Sometimes it just be me and him, like I'm like, no, we're gonna cancel or what? Like I kind of want to stay, you know, but I've always come back, you know, because that's what kept me here, and that's what kept me, you know, learning more. And eventually I been introduced to different places, different people, you know, different maestros that really offered a lot of guidance, and just even within internally, you know, being able to have those conversations about healthy manhood, about healthy lives and healthy values, right? And so yeah, it's been a bit of a journey. I've taken a lot of trips. Definitely took a lot of trips with Bernie. You know, in the past couple of years, in the past 2 years, since Bernie jumped on, like it's been like we just like let's go on a road trip, and we just kind of go. And so just experiencing different places and experiencing different things, but it's all helped me out, you know. I think ultimately there was a really how would you say it, like a moment where I still wanted to do some of the things that I was doing that were unhealthy, and I was learning these things, practicing these things, but I was almost kind of like living a double life. Not a double life, but like I was mixing medicines. I was mixing materialism with humility, and that just doesn't combine, right? And so I think these cultural practices, this cultural healing, offered correction, but not in a way of like I have to ask for forgiveness, I have to repent, I have to act like I was born a sinner. Quite the contrary. I was actually taught that I'm sacred. That even though I have work to do, I'm still important. I'm still valuable. And so I took the time to reflect. I took the time to provide the correction, and it felt good, because this was a place where I can learn, I can grow, and I can make mistakes. Not that, of course, there's always repercussions, right? But we're gonna offer that this was a good space for me to learn, to really develop as a person, right? As a spirit, right? So it's been a bit of a journey, and now I'm in a really good place where I get to share this with my partner, and share that part of me that I've been working on for so long. Like now it's time to bring you in, and we can do this together. And so we've been very fortunate to like share a lot of ceremonial spaces where we get to sit around the drum, and we get to sit around the fire and share, laugh, cry, and do all these things that they really just make us feel good, bring us closer, and help us heal from things that we've experienced in the past, and help us grow into a new stage in our life. Now that I'm 28, she's 26, 25. Me van a regañar. So it really put us in a good spot, to transition from being a young man, a young woman, to womanhood, manhood, and it just really put us in a really good spot. So
Alexis brings that the grandpa medicine. He's like the elder here at the MILPA and stuff. Alexis, it's things that things that you've been saying. Is very true. It's like being involved allows us to like travel, right? To build relationships, and especially have compassion for ourselves. You can't. I heard you saying the reference, kind of like from the church. Gotta go and repent. I'm a sinner. Like confess and this and that. But bring it into the cultural ways. Cultural awareness. It's really about like, okay, it happened. It's like, so how do we do better?
Mm-hmm.
With being compassionate for ourselves. But yeah, I appreciate you saying those things. I want to appreciate you también. We've had some cool times, driving up and down the state and all those things, and I think just mentioning that, right? Like, what is a place that you want to go and see? That place that you want to travel to. Mm-hmm. It could be whether work wise or just personal wise, like just in your own trip,
Definitely want to go to Tzintzuntzan over there in Michoacán. It's where the Purépechas had their capital city. That's where they governed out of. There's Lake Pátzcuaro, where they had the little. It's part of their origin story. And so for me, being from southern Guanajuato, right at the border of Michoacán, that's like the closest thing to me. Mm-hmm. And so definitely want to go out there. That's one of the spots that I'm like, man, I want to go trip out, because there's a whole bunch of stories that are there. I just haven't had a chance to go. I went a couple of years ago to Mexico, but we didn't get a chance to check it out. It was this close, but in Mexico you gotta kind of be careful at night. So you plan your trip right, and if you don't plan right, like, yeah, just go home.
Next thing you know, MILPA's gonna get a call.
Yeah, definitely don't want to do that.
We'll go pick you up, Alexis.
Hope so.
What's one of your favorite trips that y'all have been together, gone to?
I mean, this is your show, bro.
I can't say. You know, we've had really good trips. I think definitely the one we took towards Paiute was definitely one that was a hell of a journey. Like no sleep, and on the way back, it was like, man, like should we pull over or should we keep driving? And like trying to slap myself, trying to stay awake, but it was definitely worth it. Definitely a very fun drive, very fun trip, and you know we had a good time, man. Being the bro Bernie, I think I've let him down a couple of times, and he's like, let's pull over at the next Starbucks or the next. What was it the last time that you wanted? Something that you wanted and then I missed it. Y ya nomás se quedó con el antojo. I think you wanted In-N-Out. Con las ganas. Like next month, like in 2 hours. My bad.
Oh man.
That's hella funny. I feel like those are the things that stay with you though, like that you remember for a long ass time. But with that, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
On a serious note, right? I think one that I've always taken for granted, but now it's hitting a lot different, is take care of yourself, cuídate. And we hear this a lot, like especially at the home, with your family, with your relatives, like, oh, take care of yourself or cuídate. And like it's a simple term. It's not like a complex form of advice, but it's very simple, but it's very true. It's very not something that I practice very well, like, or at least that I didn't understand, right? Because you can take care of yourself, you put your cobijas on, or you drink your teas or whatever, but it didn't really start clicking until recently, that consejo. And you hear this a lot, especially in some of the ceremonial circles. You hear take care of yourself, relatives, or you see somebody who's like, take care of yourself, cuídate. And I've been really thinking about it, like, what does that mean? What does it mean to actually take care of yourself, right? Because it's like, okay, it's simple, but it's like, no, it's like you really got to dive into what that means to actually practice on a daily basis to take care of yourself, right? And so I think one of the things that it's taught me, the concept of taking care of yourself, is asking for help, right? Because you can't take care of yourself by yourself. You need support. You need to have humility to ask, like, damn, I can't do this by myself. Just recently I'm trying to fix a heater, and like I can't. I really can't. It's outside of my expertise, so I need to ask for help. But it takes a lot for us to ask for help. And we talked about this in the men's talking circle the other day, and it was like, man, like, why is it so hard for people to ask for help? And that's the big part of it. Like, sometimes we can't accept, or I couldn't accept that, like, taking care of ourselves is also a collective thing. It's also a thing that we do together. And I wasn't exposed to that. So now coming here, like, we take care of each other, we take care of ourselves at the same time. But taking care of ourselves is like something that you actively have to do, whether it be your food, your mental, your physical, your spiritual, your emotional. It's like something that you have to consistently work on. And it's been very, very not difficult, but it's like something it takes a lot of work. It's not, even just now, like, me and my wife we have our own place now. So now I'm like, okay, I have a different vision of what taking care of home looks like. Making sure that the house on the outside is tidy, that everything works, that that the kitchen is stored, that they have the right tools to take care of the home. And so it takes a lot of work, but it's really important.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Well, without felicidades for your new home, but with that, tell the people your morning routine now being a new homeowner.
Homeowner? Coffee first, right? That's always, like, you can't do nothing around the house without the coffee. But I usually get up, brew up some coffee, burn some cedar. You know, if there's time, do the 4 directions. There's always time, but you know, if there's ganas, más bien, you know, do the 4 directions. You know, see what there is to do around the house. Sometimes I've got to wash the dishes. We live in an RV, so you have to, you know, open up the gray tank and the black tank. It's not like when you're hooked up to the sewage, it's just like it's all gone. Like, no, you got to go out there. Take my dog out, you know, let him go out, and then yeah, just get ready for the day. Cook some breakfast. If hay tiempo, if not, get ready. You know, start planchando and you know, get on the
Hey.
yeah.
What time do you get up?
Get on the Zooms. They say like the ¿cómo se llama? The ghost come and visit you at 3 in the morning. So for whatever reason, I've been waking up a lot at 3 in the morning, but usually I get up like around 6:30. Just start doing things around the house. And lay there for a little bit and then get up.
You see Alexis come out early in the morning with his glasses on, his robe on.
All fucking it out.
Yeah, no, you know, it was interesting that you were talking about asking for help, you know, and if you, I was just thinking about it as you were saying it, right? Like, you know, it's being intimidated or not feeling like we can ask for help is really a byproduct from the system, you know. I was just thinking about it like that, you know. It's like, 'cause just reflecting, it's like, how often do we ask for help? How often do I ask for help? You know, it's like, and but that's good, and it's a good sign that we're doing something different, you know, when we're able to ask for help, especially as men, you know. Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate that commentary right there. It's necessary for folks to hear that, you know, especially también young men, you know, that are coming up, you know, and especially now in the climate that we're living in, you know, very individualistic, but it's something that we're breaking, you know, especially here at MILPA, you know. So, you know, I think you know, you shared with us the best advice that you received, you know. Maybe you can provide an advice for those that are watching right now. You know, what advice would you give them?
I think for me, what really put me in a stage where I can work on myself, the first thing I had to do was get sober. And that was always a struggle that I've had, you know, because I started drinking at age 13, right? And then ever since then, it's been always like an ongoing relationship with alcohol. And I didn't really understand it because it never really like helps for anything, right? It just kind of makes you feel horrible, but you know, at least the next day. But it was definitely one of those things that, like, if you try to work on yourself, but you continue to poison yourself with stuff that hurts you, you know, you're not gonna get very far. You know, you need to have a clear mind in order to keep working on yourself. Continue to do the things that you want to do in a clear-headed mind with good intentions, and surround yourself with good people. And being sober is definitely one of those things that like always gets in the way. It could blur your mind. It could change your perception, change your priorities. And so for me, like, getting sober was like super critical. And so, you know, now seeing, you know, a lot of young people, especially a lot of people that we've run into in the community, you know, working with the young folks in Soledad, working with the folks in the community, we've seen a lot of folks transition because of drug addiction, you know, or opioids, you know, and it's sad, but it's the reality, you know, and it's we don't really know what's out there, you know. It's one of those things where, you know, people don't have the support, don't have the tools, and you know, our system doesn't necessarily help them out coming in, but it hurts me, you know, to see, you know, folks getting involved with medicines that hurt them, you know. So that's one thing that I would hope folks would, you know, take from me, you know.
Stay sober.
Stay sober, my friends.
New shirts. Yeah, I appreciate you, Alexis, for like all that work that you've done on yourself, because you're able to bring all that and like help us heal, and then like, you know, do it as a little collective and everything. So just appreciate everything that you've done to like better yourself and better like the community, and also for your own family. But with that, Bernie, do you have any last words that you want to share with Alexis?
Man, I love you, bro. It's like it's the journey, you know what I mean? It's brought us to this point, and you know, I just if you ever need any support, you know, ya sabes, you got my line, hit it, you know, anytime, day or night, you know, I'm there, you know, as much as I can. You know, I'm not gonna say all the time, because next thing you know, I'm about to like block you or something. But nah, it's just man, you know what? I appreciate your story. You know, it's always cool to hear it. You know, I get to hear little pieces here and there about it. You know, but I'm glad that, you know, folks watching this, they're able to hear it. You know, they've seen, you know, we've seen you already, Prop 47. You know, little spaces here and there. You know, at the advocacy. You know, at the Border Super, everywhere. You know, kind of floating and boom. You know, really presented like that in the news. You know what I mean? Radio Bilingüe, all those things. You know. So yeah, just appreciate everything you do, you know, keep your head up, stay up, you know, y ya sabes, you know, it's like, aquí estamos y no nos vamos, you know what I'm saying? So, pero con eso, man, y'all heard it, you know, Alexis Magdaleno, you know, the Prop 47 lead specialist here at MILPA, pero con eso, you know, folks, hey, well, subscribe, press the like, you know what I mean, and share this video, share it out, you know what I'm saying, why not? You know, si podemos, si pueden, you know, so. Pero con esto, you know, I just want to say buenas noches to everybody. You know, hopefully leaving this plática, you know, makes you think about wanting to stay sober, asking for help, you know.
Culture, consciousness, and movement building, MILPA. Cultivated change makers, yeah, we're that squad.